was 40 years ago, pornography. Here's the song.
Hello and welcome to the Holy Hour Podcast, the bi-weekly all-cure podcast. This is a tour updates episode. Yep, not an official episode, but definitely got to keep you guys up to date on the latest string of dates on the Lost World Tour. We are definitely on the home stretch now. There's no turning back. We have wound down, at the time of recording this, only 6 more shows left. But we got to recap the last 4 for you real quick, and we have some special contributions on this one that are going to help out a lot because you can hear my voice. My head feels like a pumpkin right now, and my throat feels like a Wolverine stuck in a tube sock. What? So yeah, let's dive in because these are important shows. We get on the home stretch here for The Cure. We have Paris, France on Monday, November 28th. And yeah, it looked like an amazing show in Paris. How could it not be? They were able to play The Last Day of Summer, Want, At Night, Charlotte Sometimes, Strange Day, and A Figurehead, which is almost become more elusive than Faith, I think, at this point. I haven't got too many figureheads sprinkled in there, so Paris definitely lucked out. And Robert changed the lyrics, of course, from American Girls to Parisian Girls. So very cool, very lucky, and looked like an amazing show in Paris. And Encore 1 of Paris, they played I Could Never Say Goodbye, of course, kicking off Encore 1. And Faith. So they got Figurehead and Faith in Paris. Man, everything cool happens in Paris. And followed up by A Forest and Encore 2 of the Magnificent 7 pop songs. They haven't really been expanding on that again, like our earlier theory of adding Let's Go to Bed or doing the Unstuck. They've kind of resorted back to the main 7, which still works great. It seems like everybody that's at these shows has no problem with it once they're caught up in the excitement of those 7 classic pop songs. So the next night, let's see, we started getting a little longer breaks in between all these. So on Monday, then they had 2 days off, which has been rare on this tour. They go into Thursday, Dublin, Ireland, and so they're getting closer to home now. So Dublin, Ireland, December 1st. Into December now. These guys have been going strong since early October, right? So amazing. They're holding up better than me. I'm not playing any shows. I'm just sitting here talking about set list. Sorry. So yeah, Thursday, December 1st, Dublin, Ireland. I'm not even going to read you my little notes on which songs are cool and which aren't because we had 2 wonderful contributions for this show. The first coming from Kevin on Instagram, and Kevin was kind enough to write and let us know that he was at the show. And he writes, "Hey, I saw The Cure play Dublin last night, and it was just unreal. First time seeing them. I've been a fan for the last 3 years, give or take. They played 3 songs off of Pornography, my favorite album, and At Night, one of my favorites, probably the highlight in a sense. And Charlotte Sometimes, too, of course, is a classic. I hope they do announce a North American tour soon. Robert's voice still is as phenomenal as ever, and just the whole band is spectacular. Also, the new songs are very good. Heart-wrenching as ever, especially I Can Never Say Goodbye, having lost my own brother to cancer. This band will forever live in my heart. I just thought I'd message you, as I don't know really that many Cure fans in real life who love them as much as we do. I went with my girlfriend, who is obviously a fan, but not as much as me. It was just really great. I also want to thank you for the podcast and everything. It's great to hear all sorts of opinions and just talk about the best band in the world." Awesome. Thank you so much for writing, Kevin. That was sweet and really cool. And it's so nice to hear. We've been hearing lots of reports of newer and younger Cure fans, so it's cool that You guys are out there and real and keeping the flame alive and keeping the love for this amazing band alive and showing your support by going to see them live. So I'm glad it was as amazing experience as I expected it to be for everybody out there. And of course, we also heard from our platinum level Patreon member, Alison, dear friend of the show. She was also at the Dublin show. She could have been standing right next to Kevin. Who knows? It's a strange, weird world out there. But she was kind enough to write me a few words on her experience in Dublin as well. So I'd like to read that for you guys now, too. Alison writes, "So finally, almost a year after buying the tickets, the Dublin show date finally arrived. As we live in the age of live streams and YouTube videos, it's been exciting to see the lads wending their way around Europe and visiting so many different cities and countries. My anticipation and expectation levels were high. First of all, the set list, very varied. I was really happy with the choices they made for the songs being swapped in and out. Within the main set, we were treated to The Hanging Garden, The Last Day of Summer, which were both lovely to hear. Then the first encore was a nice heavy one, as usual, beginning with I Can Never Say Goodbye, and followed by Cold, Charlotte Sometimes, and ending with A Forest. Charlotte Sometimes had a really dark energy last night, I think because of its placement after Cold. I was really pleased A Forest closed out the first encore. It's such a strong way to finish before the pop hits come. Another highlight for me in the main set was Want. This was a powerful wall of guitar sound, which reminds me to say that the acoustics in the venue were excellent. I also liked the position of Want earlier in the set, before A Fragile Thing, which was then followed by Burn, a powerful trio. Robert had some guitar tuning issues at the beginning of Push, but one of the road crew quickly brought in another guitar. So this is a good moment to compliment the techs and the roadies who have been doing such a great job on this tour. They had a couple of days to build in Dublin, and I think a few pints of well-deserved Guinness were being enjoyed after they arrived from Paris. The second encore was the standard Magnificent Seven, as you have dubbed them. These were very much enjoyed by the crowd, plenty of dancing on the floor and in the circles. The audience was very diverse, but I would say overall on the younger side. Fabulous to see teenagers running for the barrier and so enthusiastic about the music. I arrived half an hour before doors, so I had no expectation of being anywhere very close, but in fact, it was a short line, and I was lucky enough to be 3 rows back. I went to Perry's side and really enjoyed seeing how diligent he was. It was sweet to see him smiling when Robert was treating all of us to some of his Robertisms. He looked pleased and proud to be part of the Cure, and his hair was very fluffy. I also had a really good view of Reeves, and Simon quite often came over to join him. Robert walked around and came over to our side a couple of times too. He was on good form, chatting and smiling. I didn't have a great angle to see Jason or Roger, but the screens gave some glimpses, and they were on form as well. Confident, solid, and calm. So to sum up, it was a wonderful show, and I'm looking forward to seeing them again in Glasgow in a couple of days. It's such a thrill to see all 6 of them together, and they seem to be absolutely at the peak of their powers. It is a real privilege to be able to see them playing new music and old music and making so many people happy. Awesome. That sounded like such a great show. Thank you, Kevin and Alison. And wow, yeah, sounded like that was one that a lot of people were sizing up if they should make the journey for, and seemed like it didn't disappoint, to say the least. In one of the videos too, it looked like A Forest really was a standout performance, which is, saying a lot. The bass and guitar part, when it broke down to just them, went on for a minute and a half. Apparently, I watched the clip of it. It was pretty badass. It seemed to really stretch that one out and get all of it. So very cool. The next night, Friday, December 2nd, Belfast, Ireland, and another great show. It looked like they got Treated to Trust at night, Strange Day, among other Cure classics. Don't really have too much to report on that one, other than Encore 1, they did the Disintegration block of Plain Song, Prayers for Rain, and Disintegration. Again, followed by the 7 magnificent pop songs for Encore 2. As we head into the final show in this recap block, we have Glasgow, Scotland, Sunday night, December 4th, and looked to be another amazing show. And more importantly, we heard another amazing report from Alison. And Alison was even able to cross paths with Dione, another premium platinum member of the Holy Hour Patreon crew. So pretty awesome that they're getting together and hanging out, even just for a short bit. It sounded like Alan was out there somewhere. So cheers to you, Alan. And hopefully y'all get another chance to cross paths again in London. But so cool. Makes me really happy knowing y'all are out there and experiencing this together. But before I lose my voice entirely and get all sappy, I would love to read you the lovely words she wrote to me just today. Alison writes, traveling from Dublin to Glasgow involved a plane, a train, and an automobile. I skipped the Belfast gig, which would have involved taking some more trains, and I'm glad I decided not to try and see every gig, but instead be a little more picky and choosy and try and avoid running out of steam. Arriving in Glasgow, it was all dressed up for Christmas, and this only added to the excitement levels. A couple of pre-show meetups were organized on the afternoon of the show, and it was great fun to meet up with fans from around the world. Everyone was on a high, sharing thoughts about the new songs and making predictions about that first encore, and there was universal appreciation for the 5 new songs we have heard so far, with lots of excitement about the album itself. Most people were choosing Alone as their favorite of the 5 new ones. I didn't meet anyone who had managed to stop themselves listening to the bootlegs and YouTube clips prior, although it must be amazing to hear them live for the first time. The venue was a mile or so outside the city center, and many fans were traveling in on trains. There were a range of ages once again, although perhaps slightly fewer teenagers than we saw in Dublin. The capacity overall was a little larger than Dublin, 14,000 versus 13,000, although the floor seemed larger. As this was a hometown gig for the Twilight Sad, there was a much bigger contingent lining up to see them. Grant had been unwell on Friday, and James and Andy had done a stripped-back set in Belfast. Fortunately, he was back on Sunday, and they were all in fine form. They set the scene beautifully, and the hard-working crew then reset the stage. After more thunder and lightning from the PA system, The Cure took the stage, with Robert doing his customary walkabout during the start of Alone. The main set was very similar to Dublin, except for no hanging garden. Instead, Cold, back in between A Fragile Thing and Burn. Good placement. It was a faultless set, and the crowd on the floor were in very good voice, particularly on Push and Play for Today. I was over on Roger and Simon's side this time and got a great view of both them. It was nice to see Roger looking so happy and transported by the music. Standout tracks for me on this occasion were At Night and Nothing Is Forever. I also had a much better view of Jason from this side, and loved seeing him power through Burn with a great projection of multiple Jasons behind him. Must give a shout out for the lighting at this point too. Really great work. So on to that first encore. Hopes have been high before the show that we were going to hear Faith. And as I Could Never Say Goodbye faded away, Faith began, with the atmospheric projection of Bolton Abbey, which we have been seeing so much in the tour pictures. The audience were ecstatic. I was expecting Charlotte sometimes next, but then we heard the opening drums of 100 Years. Tonight, this was the song which went right to my heart. I knew it had received a couple of outings earlier in the tour, but I was taken by surprise to hear it. The backdrop was images of 20th century warfare, many very disturbing. As I have a son in the military who has just returned from a war zone, this really hit home. Soon I was in tears, and Robert was clearly very emotional too. Next, a forest and a great view of Simon strutting his stuff. And so the final encore. How did they do it? From the depths of despair to the sunniest of moods with the magnificent 7 pop hits. All of it was perfect, and sending us out into the cold Glasgow night on a real high. We had missed the last train back into the city center, but the glow of the Cure kept us warm as we walked underneath the motorway and shared our stories. Thank you so much, Alison. It really paints the full picture, and yeah, I really felt like we're there with you, so that's so awesome. I'm glad that it was an amazing show, as we knew it would be, but always great to have confirmation, and more importantly, so good to hear that your son is home safe. So, yeah, a nice few little unexpected gems in there for you, and just a true lovely experience. And sounds like you're going to be headed off to London, too, so hopefully the ultimate finale will be had. We have 3 shows leading up to 3 nights in London, though, still to come. We got tonight, Tuesday in Leeds, Wednesday in Birmingham, Thursday in Cardiff, and then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we have our 3-night finale, which starts to make you wonder, maybe in beginning tonight, are they going to change up the set more? They got a few tricks up their sleeves still? Or are they going to basically keep this awesome wave just flowing and give the people what has been working so good since October? It's hard to say. We'll see. We'll try to keep track of it for you here and recap those. The last 3 will probably be part of our year finale episode. So who knows? Anything could happen. We'll keep you posted, though. Again, a giant thank you to Alison for writing in such an articulate, wonderful way and painting the full picture for us on Dublin and Glasgow shows. And for Kevin to contribute and send in his thoughts on the Dublin show as well. We really appreciate it. And all you guys out there for listening and bearing with my ridiculous voice. So thank you so much. Hopefully I'll get back in action here soon. And we'll recap again and have more wonderful episodes on the way. Always something to talk about here on the Holy Hour. All right, take it easy. Thanks again. Talk hard.